take you back. I want to take you back to a fine morning where one day I got up to a smell of fresh coffee. I went downstairs and I saw that my husband was watching TV since 2 a.m. The cricket matches are going on and he gets up at 2 a.m. to watch them. And he made coffee for himself in the morning, made some for me. I picked up my coffee cup, went outside in my little Buddha garden, did my daily calm meditation, did my mindfulness movement, had some more time, so I called up my mom, talked to her, and it was really nice, about a good sunny day, a California day about to get started, so I relaxed for a few minutes. It was about 8 a.m., and I came inside, opened my computer, and saw some Slack messages. One of my UI engineers was sending me a message that he met with the product manager. He's 100% aligned with what the product manager wants, and they are on the go. The service dashboard was showing me everything green, no CSOs in the weekend. I saw some emails that the innovation week from last week produced 25, I have a team of 30, and this small team produced 25 great innovations. There was another one from the employee experience where we do an employee survey and the belongingness count specifically went up by number of 10, which was one of the focus areas for the group. And things were really going great. Program manager was happy. A customer kudo email where they said that no more pending issues. Very fine morning. I want to ask, has any one of you experienced this? Few people. On a regular basis? Very nice. For me, this was a little bit of an imaginative story. To be fair, to the point that the first half, my coffee, my meditation, my talking to my mom, and morning time to relax, does happen in most of my days because I need to be ready for the chaos that I see once I open my computer at 8 a.m. Usually when I open my computer at 8 a.m., like any other company, even at Adobe, we do get customer issues. We do get system outages. We do get critical things. And program managers chase us. There are often the battles between product managers and engineering team struggling to get aligned. And that's where, all of us struggle. While we are a very ordinary software development company when it comes to all these issues, Adobe stays as one of the most loved companies in the world. This is a testimony and the result of just 2023 awards that we have got. One of the best workplaces to work in, top company where the woman wants to work, the things that we do around diversity puts us on the stage, and not just in United States, throughout the world. What I do in Adobe, a little bit about me, my name is Archana Chaudhary, and I work right now in Adobe's business unit called Adobe Experience Cloud. We do customer engagement and marketing tools. Prior to this, in my previous life at Adobe for 8 years, I came through Adobe Sign, where if you have ever signed documents, maybe you use DocuSign, but there is a parallel that Adobe has called Adobe Sign. I spent 8 years there. That's what I do in Adobe. So the main thing is that I have moved between clouds. And the interesting thing is that the stories that I'm going to share with you today about Adobe's culture are from both these places. So thank you for coming to my talk. I hope my stories in the coming next few minutes will be a little bit of an insight into how we function. To create a culture, my understanding is that it's not a one-person thing. There are things that the organization does, which is, you can see, it's like concentric circles where there are multiple forces coming into play to make the thing happen. Adobe as an organization puts a very intentional time and effort to focus on the culture. Each of the business units, either it is digital media, which you all are familiar with, the consumer part of Adobe, where you experience tools like Creative Cloud, or like Photoshop or Lightroom, or maybe the PDF side of it, or the other business unit where I am now part of, which is dealing with enterprise product, at business like unit level, how our leaders are doing. And then there are team level leaders. There are teams, individuals, managers, facilitators, including the facilitators who are serving us food during the lunchtime, or who are the security people around that. So I have some stories that I want to bring forth from all of them. And of course, the executives at the top level. To start with, I want to take you to what are the core values which are in our DNA. There are 4 core values. One, we do want to create the future. Software is a skill. We do use it to create the future. The second important thing is that we live the value of being genuine. Now, genuine does not mean that I'm nice. Genuine actually means, in Adobe, don't be nice, ask the right questions, be hard on your peers, on your teammates, so that the customers are really getting the value. So when we evaluate people, when we talk about genuineness, it is really how many good questions have you asked. Being quiet is not genuine for us. Being nice is not genuine for us. Owning the outcome. When we are producing things, things happen. Are we owning it or punting it to somebody else that this is somebody else's problem? And the last core value is, if we are doing all the things right, if we are creating the future, being genuine, owning the outcome, are we there? Are we now moving to the next step of raising the bar? That is what our 4 core values are. Now, talking about belonging, safety, and coexistence. If you type up the word belonging, you will see that there is a lot of importance about connections and belonging. I read a book recently. It's titled Belonging. It's from a Stanford professor, Jeffrey Cohen. And one of the things that he says is, for belonging, there needs to be there are some people who are in and some people who are out. So now the interesting thing is, in a company of 40,000 employees, how do you do this? That, you want everybody to be in, but fundamentally the way belonging works is that some people are in and some people are out. How do you give psychological safety to these different, diverse group of people who are across the world and are representing different ethics, different values? How do you bring them together? So we do it by employee networks. You see, we have 8 employee networks today, which are global networks. They are from anything from Access at Adobe to ethnic groups like Black Employee Network, or Hispanic groups, or the indigenous group, Pride at Adobe, veterans, and the sweatshirt that I'm wearing today is from Women at Adobe. By creating these different employee networks, we are allowing, and all of these are open networks. That is an important key, that in the Women at Adobe network, it is not that there are only women. We have the aliases who are spread over everywhere, who are part of the network, who wants to learn more about a particular culture, about a particular group. So having these employee networks not only allows different people to find a place where they can go and belong, but also explore other groups. The other thing that we do is, we do giving together. This particular image is from last December. These are the teammates which work in my team, and we were day to day on solving problems. But this is a picture where we invited College of Adaptive Arts, which is a college right here in Silicon Valley. It's near West Valley campus in San Jose. And the college is about people with special needs. We invited about 50 students from that college into the Adobe office. So that is another thing, that we have kind of open doors to people when they want to come. Adobe still does office tours. So we invited these 50 students who came in with their caregivers, and my team not only collected money, did a fundraising, we did an event with them where they taught us how to do public speaking. These people who are going through some special needs are actually the best public speakers because they have nothing to fear. And they came and taught us by showing us the tricks of cheerleading, by showing us some dances, by showing us some tips of, how to handle your anxiety when you are on stage. And that act of being together with another organization where you see people who cannot even sit for 1 hour and who will need water and things, doing things together in a cheerful way, really brought the team together. And we do this every year. Each and every team, this is a picture just from my team, but there are so many groups that you can go where each and every team is doing a service project towards December, and they will see making community impact. We do have something called Adobe for All, which is a conference that happens every year. Employees come and share their stories. So I just picked up a few stories that I would like to talk. There are people who will go to other to their employees when their family members are going through a chemotherapy session, and people will come and tell how their manager impacted their life when they came to see their mom. These are the employees who are creating the communities and are community leaders. Adobe gives a grant of $10,000 to anybody who is on a board of a nonprofit member. I run a nonprofit. I do not have to go for fundraising because my company supports me. There are people in employee experience who will call some claims until the job is done, and they will make sure that the employee's claims are fulfilled. We also encourage looking beyond what you see. There are so many times that you meet an employee and you will get a first impression and you will have some doubts, but there are things in which you have to look beyond. I want to tell some stories about leadership. In this picture, which is from earlier this year, in March, we have a system called Founders Award. 13 employees from the 40,000 are chosen to be Founders Award recipient for that year. Can anybody point out where is the CEO of Adobe in this picture? He's the one in the corner with hands in his pockets, Shantanu Narayan. There is also 2 of his direct reports. One who is hiding behind the lady in the blue, he is in the C staff. And you see Gloria Chen, who is standing next to me. These 3 are C executives. At Adobe, people who lead from front are employees. The leaders recognize that they can stay on the side and they take pride in it. This picture is a testimonial that this is what happened in a big dinner to honor the employees. All of you are engineers, most likely here, and know these kind of diagrams. This is a story from 2 weeks ago where we brought in a complaint to the VP and asked him that we want to submit some PRs in another sister group, and they are not accepting our PR, even if our PR is for some good changes into the service. The VP's answer was, who are behind these microservices. It is actually people. There are real people working behind the services, and his guidance to the team was, no, not that I will go and resolve. His guidance was, go make the connection with that team first. But there are people who have their own commitments, and then open the PR. Don't open a PR and expect that they will just take it. I have another story from my own manager, which was, I was the one who was complaining about the PM not aligning with the work that engineering was doing, and we have a process. In the meeting with 5 other seniors and his boss and few other people, he completely took the accountability. And then he says that, I take it on me, that I think I need to do something better here in front of everyone. When he does it, I get the permission that I can do this with my own team. So each and every individual, you will see examples in our leadership where there are these tidbit stories happening. Innovation. We treat innovation as a science. This is one part, an interesting thing which I want to bring up. And I invite any one of you who would like to come. As I said, Adobe is open doors for the guests. We have a lab where it's called a design lab, and we call it Lab 82. One of the things in that lab, it makes people vulnerable as soon as you enter into the lab. It is designed such. It has gone through 3 iterations of design, by the way. It has uncomfortable seats. You cannot even sit on a seat for more than 10 minutes. It does make you uncomfortable. It does not have traditional chairs. It has, people keep on doing these experiments, and we love going into those rooms to do our brainstorming, because staying in a physical space which is uncomfortable lets us become more vulnerable, lets us become more open to our teams. We do, in the remote setting where during the last 3 years when we were not able to go to the physical spaces, there were many things done, like what is the virtual background that you can choose which shows you the background where you were the most vulnerable. We did show and tell, that go and take the computer to any place in the house and show an object that you want to do. So people do these games all the time to just open up with the teammates. The experiment that is going on at that cafe table is that people have cards where you can actually see, you can pull up a card, you can start a conversation with a stranger. We have an app where you can say, I want to sign up for lunch and with a stranger today. And then you go and meet with the stranger in the cafe room, and you talk to them, open up about what do you do. We do things like masterminds, where anybody can open masterminds, anybody can do action circles, and we do things. Right? This is something which is very relevant today, Gen AI. Adobe is not behind. We are doing a lot in Firefly. We are doing a lot in many other areas, but one thing is innovation which is based on ethics. And you will hear a lot about any of these things if you go to adobe.com. And what I wanted to bring today was just a glimpse of where all we do. And that's all I prepared for you today. And the top 3 learnings that I want all of you to take from here is that when it comes to a culture, make it safe. Make it personal. Give everyone a room where they can belong to, and encourage making connections. Second thing is put people first. As you saw in that microservices and the VP code, you have to put the people first. And be scientific about creativity. Yes, it is the left brain which increases the creativity, but if you have a scientific approach to it, even Stanford says that design thinking is a scientific step-by-step methodology to do creativity, to unleash creativity. And that's what I want to leave all of you with. That's it from me, and thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Archana, for that great session right there. We have a few questions that has kind of popped up here, and you folks have the Slido QR code if you folks want to kind of post in more questions. Real quickly, starting with the first one, can you tell us about any eureka moments when someone in your team had a brilliant idea that embodied the culture you were striving for?
Yeah, there are many examples. So from our Innovation Week, Innovation Weeks are not just that people bring in ideas and then they showcase and they are done. Many, many products have come up after those Innovation Weeks in all clouds. So even, this, there is a product in PDF called Fill and Sign. It was just a very simple Innovation Week project where somebody said that, when you have PDFs and you want to put some signature fields on it or other fields on it, people were doing it one by one. And there was a team that sat together and said that we want to do, make it very easy to do a fill and sign. This is just one example. On another, business units, there are projects that are happening which are solving customer issues, suppose people are creating campaigns to send push notifications, and how can you just integrate that with the other systems in Adobe and bring them, which has all these little things make the products better. So we do a lot of these things. If you ask me, is there a single eureka moment? There are moments every week that are happening. So it's everywhere, yeah.
Nice. Cool. Going to the second one here. Did you ever encounter a cultural deja vu moment where it felt like you were stuck in a time loop?
Sometimes, yes, to be honest, that it does feel that we are going round and round. But I do want to tell you, there are employees who joined, there are so many of them, 3 in my team out of 30, who joined as an intern and now finishing their 25 plus years and plan to retire here. And this is just a team of 30. If you take that sampling in a team of 40,000 people, there are many like that.
Thank you. Going to the next one here, which one's voted up. What collaborative methodologies were employed to drive the culture transformation at Adobe? Anything that kind of stands out as this worked really well as collaboration?
Yeah, I think at the organization level, we do these tech summits, internal celebration for the engineering community, which comes over from all over the world, which brings in people to submit their ideas. At smaller levels within the business units, there are hackathons done where we encourage one cloud to do their innovation. People come and pitch in their ideas, and then there is collaboration. We have reinvented the physical spaces, not just the design labs, but got rid of the rooms, and now everybody sits flat. Yeah, come to our Founders Tower. We've created bridges, which really helps in creating the collaborative culture. And also an encouragement where how the employee networks are showcasing their activities in day-to-day. Yesterday, there was a Diwali event, and there were people from all clouds. So when you work on these non-work-related projects together, you do get a trust where you can now go and ask them the work questions. So there is a balance there. Yeah.
Just a related question to that, right? With the changing environment right now with hybrid and remote and all that sort of stuff, how does Adobe kind of help foster that sort of innovation across the region barriers, essentially?
Yeah. So for us, when COVID happens, it was a single day switch because anyway, there were a lot of employees who were remote. Every meeting, so when back in 2011, when we were acquired from echo sign into Adobe, one of the things that we noticed from a small startup like this into Adobe was in the conference room, everybody had their computer open, and there was at least one person who is remote. And that has been the life since 2011 for me, but even before for many people. So like hybrid is in the DNA because people are distributed. We do heavily use these systems of Outlook where you can do your bookings, you can have open office hours. We do take care of the timing of different people. Till today, Adobe still gives a global day off every month. They still give us $600 every year for wellness benefits. So these are little tidbits, but they all help in making sure that our home workspaces are as equipped as the office workspace.
Nice. Thank you. I'm going to pick the next one here. I think it's a great question here. As a woman leader too, I think it's perfect to kind of get an answer from you there. Can you provide some examples of what Adobe does that has made it a top company where women want to work?
So the number one thing for me is it does not differentiate between men and women. It is true that many times I am one of the only women sitting in my manager meetings or in my senior leadership meetings. But in that meeting, even if I am alone, I don't see a distinction that my product manager will ask me easier questions or harder questions than anyone. I love that fact that I'm treated equal to, and people ask me and hit me hard with questions because that is what we want. We want to be recognized as peers, and Adobe Leaders does that for us. The other thing is the investment that it has done in terms of our pay parity, in terms of the opportunities that we have. All this is public information. There are articles out there that you can see how we have, like we match in all these areas too. But day to day, a woman walks in as confidently as a man because they are treated equal.
Cool. Going from there, maybe we'll take a couple more questions here. How do you ensure that the leader or the manager you are hiring or promoting has the culture of accountability or ownership?
Yeah, so in our hiring process, when I said that we are treated equal, one of the things that we do is that there is a requirement that there is a woman on the panel. So they did some study and found out then that when we have women candidates, if they come into a company and they say only, like 4 or 5 men in the interview panel, there is a question in the woman's mind that, is this the right place for me? So that is a mandate now that you do not hire in engineering without a woman being on the panel. And that has encouraged people to actually hire more women because they do not want to just punt it on a few women in their group. So that is a small thing, but it is one thing that we have done. We do invest in university programs early on, in research programs. Our researchers, there are 14 principal scientists. Principal scientist is a senior engineering contributor at the director level who are women in Adobe.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll take one very last question here. I like this question, hence I chose it. Sorry. What could work better at Adobe?
What could work better? I have to think a little bit. Adobe does not advertise as much into how, it's a very, let's do good inside our quarters. And I would like more people from Adobe to come out, like I came out today, and talk about Adobe in the world, not just our CEOs, because they do, but this level of engineering managers, because people have made it so comfortable inside the quarters that people don't come out of that, and I would like that to happen.
Great answer there. I think, I haven't seen a ton of people talk about Adobe, but it was wonderful to kind of hear from you on how great it is, that place there to kind of work for. So it was great to kind of have that perspective from you. Thank you once again for taking the time to come chat with us.